Okay, Aaron from Humble Gents Club. Thanks for joining me for another casual chat. So I thought we'd just start at the beginning, really. Obviously, you're now based in Holland, but you are Mancunian, I believe.
Well, I'm from Oldham.
Oldham, okay. Well, that's a good place to start then. So, what growing up, what was your team? Who did you go and?
I was a United fan. My dad was a United fan, so that's where he started taking me when I was about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
The first game I went to, it's quite funny. It was a surprise. Okay. And as we was driving down there, we got into the Manchester City Centre, and I kind of guessed.
Yeah.
2-2 it was against Watford. But I always remember just before the players came out, he said, "Just remember this noise." And the players came out, and even now, I still think it's the loudest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
So what date, without wanting to age you, what sort of dates are we talking here? It was this 80s, early 80s.
Yeah, that was 83. I was born in 75, so yeah, 7 or 8 I was when I first went to the match.
And what was Old Trafford like back then? I mean, I bet it's unrecognisable from what it is now. Yeah,
well, it was the old. It was obviously there was mostly standing. We used to go in the Stretford end, in the scoreboard end at first, because my dad thought it was a bit rough for kids in the Stretford end.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. But yeah, it was like, then big crowds with 40,000.
Yeah.
It's nothing like what the crowds are then, what the crowds are like now, sorry.
But probably louder.
Sorry?
Almost certainly louder, though, I would have thought.
Yeah, and no. I think well, everybody looks back on them days and know it was better. It was the football wasn't great. The pitches are crap. You got treated like rubbish off the police. And yeah, some games were noisy. I know a lot of United fans talk about the semi-final against Barcelona as being like, the epitome of a noisy crowd. But yeah, the atmosphere was a lot better then. But the people who went there are different from they are now.
Yeah.
You get loads of lads. It was mainly, I know United have always had a big fan base in London and places like that, but 90% of the time it was just local lads going there with their mates. And you didn't have season tickets then, so you didn't need to go to every game. You could pick and choose which games you went.
Yeah.
And the big games against Liverpool, they were something special. And the odd occasion we played City if they weren't in the second division.
Yeah. Got that one in there. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. There's probably a little bit of a myth around. It's the same with everything, isn't it? You look back maybe with slightly rose-tinted spectacles, but I also think it's a myth even now, though. To be honest, that United have obviously they've got a global fan base. Liverpool are the same. Chelsea have started to get one from what their City will end up with one. I still think when the match going, there's still a lot of local match going support at any club, really.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think there has to be, don't they? It's always got to be a local lad within 5-10 miles of where you live. I think when I first started going, you could tell them like the normal games, the big games, they'd be at 32 to 40,000, and there's your hardcore fans.
Yeah.
But when we played Liverpool or Everton or Arsenal or the bigger teams, then it'd go up to 48,000, and you get so you could always tell you always had like a hardcore with so many local fans. But we used to have a girl who used to come in the scoreboard, and she was from Devon.
From Devon?
And she used to come up, and this was like in the 80s, only a young girl. She used to stand with my dad chatting.
Yeah.
So United have always had, I think, a fan base worldwide. But then I think with what happened at Munich, that always helped.
Yeah.
Not helped, but
yeah. No,
I think that got United in the conscious that they seemed to be everybody's second team.
Yeah.
Until we started winning everything, and then we weren't.
So you obviously started going with your dad, and then when did you sort of graduate to just going with mates? What sort of age were you then, and what was that like?
It was about 13, 14 when we first started going. Well, odd occasions, I was quite lucky. My old fellow, my mum, used to let me do what I wanted, kind of thing. So my dad used to work evenings. So even from a younger age, 10, 11, I used to meet my dad at Old Trafford.
Yeah. Okay.
So which I think I don't think many people do now.
No.
So, and there was odd occasions where he couldn't go, and I'd go on my own. At that age, and it wasn't a problem. It was only 2 buses, But it was about 13, 14. My dad had enough. Fergie was in charge, and we weren't doing too great. And he said, "Oh, I'm not bothering going anymore." So there was 3 or 4 of us that went to my secondary school that we used to start going together, a little firm.
Yeah.
And then we meet a few more lads from Oldham on the bus that did it at different parts. It'd make probably about 10 of us.
Yeah.
About 13, 14, we started going.
And when did you? How aware were you of a sort of scene developing or and clothes at that point and that kind of thing? When did you start to get a sense of there being something like that even happening?
Well, I was born in '75, so obviously I weren't an 11-year-old casual.
Yeah.
But I one of my friends, his brother was 3 or 4 years older than us, and I always remember him coming back with he had don't know if you remember, it's not 85. The players used to have perms at the back of the hair.
Yeah.
And he had that, and he had a head bag, and he had a capper, the red and blue capper jacket, and that was the first time I really started thinking of, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But when it's like when you get to 13, 14, 15, when you start getting your own money and you start wanting to buy clothes. Yeah. Manchester, it was a Manchester scene, weren't it? So the casual thing, really, it was all flared jeans and Joe Bloggs t-shirts.
Yeah.
Mostly for me at that age, and throughout the fan base as well.
Yeah.
So
how did it develop then, going into maybe the later 80s, early 90s? And I guess you would have been around that time. So I suppose what was it like in terms of the Manchester? You talked about the Manchester scene, so I suppose you're talking about obviously the hacienda and the music that was coming out of Manchester. And did that all feed into the football thing and the sort of so-called casual thing, or did it all? Was it all just happening? You didn't really think about it.
No, it's not. You could tell the difference. I used to go to a few away games then with my mates,
yeah,
and you could tell the Manchester clubs from any other club in the country then,
yeah,
because we were the ones wearing flowery tops and 22-inch flared jeans with haircuts and ski jackets. And then obviously once all the other fans started, it's like anything. Once the other fans start seeing you wear them clothes, then they get into it a little bit. And then over that season, you could see it whenever you were Villa or wherever you went, the more and more people wearing a similar kind of clothes to what we were wearing. Well, at first you could really tell. But so it'll stick out like a sore thumb. It's quite funny the looks you got when you're walking down the street with these 24, 25-inch flared jeans.
Yeah.
Like, what planet are these lads on?
Not planet Manchester. And what sort of labels were the? What did you like in the early days, and what sort of stuff? What are the brands or labels that you like then, and maybe are the ones you stuck with, the ones you still really like?
Well, originally, it's not really even a football thing. It was more of like a breakdance thing. The first labels but it was the same kind of clothes.
Yeah.
The Sergio Tacchini tops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was something that we all wore, or the Adidas tracksuits and things like that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, when I got a little bit older, it was all chippy and naff and kickers boots and things like that. Up until about 91, 92, and then I think it's like it's quite apt, but the second coming of the casual thing, where everybody stopped wearing the indie stuff and started wearing the casual clothes again.
Yeah,
where you'd see people wearing a lot more Stone Island, bits of Fred Perry, lots of Lacoste.
Yeah,
loads of lads used to wear polo Ralph Lauren shirts going out on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
There's one time one of my mates bought this stripy Ralph Lauren top, and it was quite nice. So we all met up. We were going out. He was going into Oldham.
Yeah.
So we went into Oldham, and the first pub we walked in, all the bar staff had the same top on. He walked in and walked straight back out, went home and got changed.
Yeah, because that's something that I suppose was part of the casual scene a bit, was that was trying to be a bit different, isn't it? I know, and it's funny because you almost end up. I feel like now the scene potentially has gone too far the other way, where you've got your labels and you've got your Stone Island and whatever, but you see some lads of the football now, and I think everyone's just wearing Stone Island and Adidas trainers, and it's almost gone too far the other way, I think.
Well, that's it. You know, I think when I started running Stone Island in the early 90s, 91, 92, there wasn't a lot of it about.
No.
And it was, you know, you could, even if you went to the football, there wasn't loads of lads wearing it because it was expensive then.
Yeah.
So it was a real badge of honour when you kind of wore it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, and the thing is, you know, you look at the range that they had then, it wasn't massive like it is now.
Yeah.
You know, they'd have 5 or 6 jackets and that'd be it, and a couple of shirts and a pair of jeans or whatever. But now you go on the site and there's hundreds of in 10 different colours.
Yeah, and you can buy it, you know, on flannels. You can buy it on the high street and t-shirts to whatever. So yeah, that's a good point. So at what point I know that you kind of got into retail yourself. So tell me a bit about that. What was it like? Sort of where did you start in retail in terms of Manchester?
The first shop I worked in was called Identity in Affleck's Palace.
Yeah.
Now, anybody from Manchester will know Affleck's Palace and Identity. I don't know if you remember, there was, going back to the Manchester scene, there used to be on the 7th day God created Manchester t-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the shop that sold them.
Right, okay.
So that's where I started working there, and I was just working on a Saturday. I had a normal job through the week, and I just worked there on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And from then I went to Athleisure, which was owned by JD Sports, which was like their casual thing,
right?
Where they had lots of Lacoste. God, we used to sell hundreds of Lacoste tracksuits.
Yeah.
Paul Shark stuff, things like that. And then I worked there for a few years, but then I moved to Aspecto, which was a shoe shop on King Street, which was like they had about 5 or 6 shops across the UK.
Is that still around? I sort of recognise. I don't know if it's just from memory, but I recognise.
Yeah, no, I think they got bought out by Tessuti. I think it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know if they still have Aspecto shops. I think they've all been changed to Tessuti, I think it is.
And did you just start? Did you sort of fancy working in a shop alongside your job? Was it just sort of a bit more extra money, or was it because did you really see yourself going into working in clothing and that side of stuff? Or
at first it was just a bit of extra money.
Yeah.
But the shop that I worked in, Identity, because a lot of independent shops, you know, you get a lot of lads with going in with flyers and stuff like that. So you'd get a lot of guest lists for clubs and stuff like that. I think I went about 20 years without paying to get in a nightclub. So that was it. But I always liked it. It was a good job, and you never get paid well, but it is quite. If you work in a decent shop, it can be quite glamorous in a way. Yeah. You can become a bit of a face around town. You know, a lot of people know you. A lot of people see who you are, and because of that, then you've always got to step your game up a bit. You've always got. I always said to my staff, when people walk in, you have to be the coolest in the shop.
Yeah.
Because you're telling people what to wear.
Yeah.
So, but then from Aspecto in King Street, I moved over to Dublin for a year and worked in the shop there, which was great. It was a totally different scene there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what was it like in Dublin? Is there a scene in the same way, or is it just slightly different looks?
No, well, I think it was similar at the time. The football, they used to, because they've changed it now in Ireland. I think they play in the summer, so they can get more fans there. But I went to a few of the Irish League games, and it was like going to like a 4th division, 5th division English crowds.
Yeah.
But they always had a little section of, they used to call the ultras, like they do now, of about 200 lads there with flares and big banners. It was quite good. I enjoyed going to a few of the games, even though it didn't mean anything. But no, it was good. Yeah. And you could tell a few of the lads there were wearing a lot of Stone Island as well. But nothing. But it was like 5 years behind England, so they had it quite well. It was like me in the early 90s. Yeah. If you wore Stone Island, you stood out, and they did then.
Yeah. So then did you come back to Manchester? When did you open your own shop? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I came back to Manchester. I left there because I was going to open a shop,
Yeah.
So I came back to Manchester, found a shop on Tip Street, which was the same street where as the old Oi was.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a little bit further down from there. But I didn't do any of the casual stuff. It was more of Stussy and that kind of thing, because they had it nailed up the road at Oi.
Yeah.
So obviously you have, and when you open a new shop, it's very hard to get labels to come in.
Yeah.
The first set, I can get any labels to come into me, so I just booked a flight to New York. I had 20 grand, and I just, at the time, the exchange rate was $2 to £1. So I just spent 20 grand in the shops.
Yeah.
It was great. I spent 5 days, and it was just like walking around with like 20 bags of clothes. And every shop I went in, every day, the other shop, by the end of the week, everybody knew who I was because I was going in spending so much money in these shops. It was great, yeah.
Getting treated like a king in New York. So, and what did you bring? Yeah. What were you looking for? And what did you bring back then from New York? What did you?
Well, I got there. I'd got this Stussy at Aspecto, so I thought. So it was. I went down more of a graffiti kind of way.
Yeah.
Nothing like what I'm doing now, but there was a gap in the market there, and I started making my own T-shirts there. So it was easy. I used to use spray paint and cut out the designs on an old Kellogg's box, stick it on the T-shirts, and spray it on there. And that's how I started making my own stuff.
Right.
And it went all right, but I think I was probably a couple of years too early. Whereas in the northern quarter, 4 or 5 years later, was a massive place to go where it wasn't that busy. So I only had the shop for 18 months.
Right.
And it cost a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. No, I bet. Yeah. So then, so what was next then? Is that when you first thought about the label itself, or?
No, I didn't. I started making my own stuff again when I came here.
Right.
When I moved to the Netherlands I moved here 11 years ago.
Okay.
And I just had a normal job, but I lost my job. So, and because I don't speak Dutch very well, it's hard to find a job, even though everybody speaks English here. You still need to speak the lingo to get a job.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought, right, well, what I'm going to do? So I ended up just going on the internet, buying a cheaper screen printing machine, and just going through YouTube videos for hours and end, learning how to do it.
Yeah.
And then just like trial and error, I bought a big bag of 50p T-shirts just to practice on, and spent hours and hours getting it right.
Yeah.
And then I started a label called Northern Casuals, and I did that for about a year and a half and sold about 10 T-shirts.
Right.
It was absolute rubbish. Nobody bought anything. And then one day I was just looking through the internet, and I saw a picture of Andy Warhol stood outside the shop in New York, and the shop was called the Humble Gents Social Club, and I just loved the name.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I saw it, I designed a T-shirt, closed Northern Casuals down, opened up the new one, and I think within 2 or 3 days I had like 10 sales, and then it just built from there and there and there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I feel like I was aware of Northern Casuals. I might do. I don't know whether that's just my memory, but you just feel like it didn't. There was just something that wasn't there for it to sort of.
Yeah. I'm always if it doesn't work, you can't. As much as I liked it, you can't just keep flogging a dead horse.
No.
It's not working anymore. Let's start something else. So but with Humble Gents, straight away I got interested in it, and straight away, within the first month I'd done like 3 or 4 times as what I'd done in the last 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. That's
so great.
And so, how long's that been running now then, Humble Gents?
It's going to be 5 years this year, I think.
Okay, wow, oh, brilliant.
So it's been good.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's been good. Yeah, originally I just started doing T-shirts.
Yeah.
No labels in, nothing like that. Pretty basic, really. And every year I tried to just build on that, get it a little bit better and better. And then last year I really started to push getting jackets made, which has really, helped build the brand. Last year was my best year I've ever had.
Yeah.
And not many people can say that in this time.
No.
but all my customers go to the pub and go to football. So they've all got £200-300 extra to spend every month.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've spent a lot of money on clothes in lockdown. So
I said to somebody the other day on the Twitter, I said, the first football match or the first weekend out is going to be some fashion show.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, yeah, I've got 4 t-shirts I'm going to wear, 2 jackets, 3 pairs of jeans all at once.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, can't wait. And how, so the jackets, how did you go about that? Do you, without giving too much away, where did you sort of source samples and sort of how did you try stuff out and find
well,
stuff?
the first one, the first jackets I got, I'd seen a picture of an old Swiss Army sniper jacket. Yeah. Loads of pockets, big hood. So, and it took me months and months and months because I can't. Well, number one, I couldn't afford it, and number two, I don't like to make a lot of one fit. You know, a lot of one. I like to keep them quite limited. Yeah. But the first lot was an absolute disaster. We were supposed to take 3 weeks to make, and I think it took 4 months. And I'd done a pre-order, so I basically had to refund everybody. Because I had to get a loan to pay all the, because it took so long. And then I got them, but then I found another guy here who makes them for me. Okay. Who's pretty good, and I can get them made in very, very low quantities. Yeah, the price is a bit higher, but you know, it suits me. I don't want 100 jackets in one colour. I'd rather I stick to about 20 or 30 per colour at the most in each jacket. Yeah, and I think that's probably what people want from a label like yours, though, isn't it? They don't want to know that there's been thousands made, or you know. Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's the same as it was just like when we go back to when I said about when we first started wearing Stone Island. That's the kind of feel I want it to be. Yeah. That I'd hate for somebody to go to a match and see somebody in the same jacket. Yeah. It'd be a nightmare. Could you imagine? You know, that's because I wouldn't like it myself. No. So that's what I want it to be. And it's the same with the t-shirts and everything that I do. It's all, I think, you know, it's all very limited in each colour. Yeah. So, and it's good. It's good to have found someone then, you know, for it to be being produced, you know, locally to you, but like in Europe and stuff. That's pretty cool. And so, in terms of, do you live in Amsterdam now? Then is that right? No, I live in Holland, which is just outside. It's about 15 minutes on the train. Oh, okay, right. And what's your experience of sort of living there been like? Again, I know you haven't got a shop there or anything, but do you sort of, is there a scene there? Do you sell anything in Holland, or is it just sort of an online thing, or do you have a presence there in any way? Not in any shops. I have sold in shops when I first started, but I just decided, well, number one, I can make more money selling on the internet. Yeah. And you know, you look at the state of retail now. Yeah. You know, not many shops want to take a new label on because they can't have that risk. No. They don't want to be spending money on a label that nobody knows. Yeah. So I've really put it on the back burner. I've really not bothered even chasing people to get orders. It's easy just to do it online. Yeah. And most of my sales, I think it's about 99% of it's the UK. Yeah. You know, I have a few customers, a few lads in New York that buy stuff, and a couple of lads in Australia, but yeah, mostly everything is to the UK, which was interesting when Brexit and Corona happened over Christmas. Yeah, I bet. Nightmare. Yeah, I suppose that's, without going into too much detail on it in Brexit and everything. Was that an issue? Has it been difficult? At first it was, yeah, because if you remember, just before Christmas, it was the COVID, the new strain, so they just stopped all shipping. And then with Brexit with Brexit happening on the 1st of January, I couldn't get anybody to. All the carriers stopped sending over to the UK, so I had 6 weeks I had about 300 orders waiting to go, and I couldn't send them, which was a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. But out of the 300 orders, I only had 2 people ask for a refund. Everybody else waited, and I was really, really, you know, really quite touched with it. I got a set of lads that buy stuff off me, and it was really, it was great. Very stressful, but hey.
Yeah. So that's not, again, do you feel like you've got quite a good sort of loyal following, and again, do you think that helps just keeping it sort of small, and do you feel like you've got quite almost a relationship with a lot of, well, not individually necessarily, but with your audience, and
yeah, definitely. I think I have a decent group of lads that basically buy everything I sell.
Yeah,
lots of lads from Blackpool buy stuff from me. Airdrie and other fans
right.
buy stuff. So I have said to them, once all this is over, I think I'll have to pop over for a game.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what's the plans? Have you got what are sort of the plans for it in the future? And have you got anything particularly in the pipeline, or is it a case of
I think just carrying on with the same. I just think, you just got to build every week, every month, every year, just build on what you're doing. Yeah. Get the jackets a little bit, not so better quality because the jacket's good quality, but better material, try and source something a little bit different, like going down the old Stone Island route, where all the technical material that they use, that's the way, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
So just a simple cotton or nylon jacket, just try and push the boat out that way and just get better and better and better as I go along.
Yeah, definitely. And so how sort of close to the scene do you feel now? And do you recognise a casual scene, or and what's your view on it, if you think if it still exists?
Well, it's an hard one really, because I think it's blown up, hasn't it? I think it's a bit too big.
Yeah.
I think, here there's no casual scene here. Everybody wears. Stone Island's quite big here. The young kids wear it.
Right.
But in England, it's just, I think every Tom, Dick, and Harry wears. I still wear it myself, and it's like now it's the Adidas collectors.
Yeah. That
just go mad, and they're really heartbroken if they missed out on a pair of trainers, and it's just a pair of trainers.
Yeah.
Or it's like when I get a new pair of trainers now, the first thing I do is I put my blue box on the table or on the floor, and I do a video of me jumping on it. And the outrage it causes, sacrilege, and all this stuff. It's hilarious. I think it's too. It's gone a bit cloned now. I think everybody, you need to start looking for something else.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because I went through phases where I got sucked into the Adidas thing, and they probably are my favourite brand of trainers, and I bought a lot. Then I stopped and I had a few favourite pairs, and then I think, to be honest, recently with lockdown stuff, I've almost gone back into it. I've bought 4 or 5 pairs in the last few months, and I'm happy with what I've got, but half of them I've not worn yet. And also, I look back on some pairs I've got now, and I thought, God, I was desperate to get those. And I look at them now, and I think, it's just that, it's like anything but it's just a conveyor belt. And I've actually taken to, but once I've got a pair I'm really into, which often aren't even the big releases, it might just be a pair of LAs, that.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. I never buy any Adidas full price. We've got a really good outlet store about an hour away from us.
Yeah.
And you go there, and they have some absolute cracking deals. Yeah. I think one day I spent €85 and got 4 pairs of trainers.
Blimey.
Yeah, and the couple of pairs of like the OG Gazelles and things like that are great.
Yeah,
but more and more now, I've started buying trainers and then changing the colour myself, just repainting them, just something different. Because again, I'd hate to see somebody, if I walked in and somebody had the same pair of trainers on me, it'd be horrendous.
No, exactly. But then that happens so commonly, it's a long time since we've obviously been to the pub or been to the football, but you're right. I think there is more. It does feel like it's a bit cloned, and I think that's a shame. But it's good. I think there's, what you're doing, and there's other people out there and other labels that, I think are doing things, have been trying to do something a bit more, niche or special, or even just more limited, which has an appeal, So I think that's great. And so what? And if people want to check out the label, what's the best way for them to do it?
Check out my label.
Yeah.
Well, I post a lot on Twitter, so that's probably a good way. Or you can just go to the website,
Yeah.
Humble Gents.
What is the website? Humble Gents
Socialclub.com.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Well, when I put this out, I'll put all the links into it and everything as well. So yeah.
Good.
And is there any? So yeah. So is there stuff coming out imminently, or is there anything sort of measly on the horizon to keep an eye out for, or what sort of next release?
With me?
Yeah.
Well, just waiting on some new samples. I was flicking through some Japanese websites a couple of weeks ago, and they had an old World War II American Navy gunner's jacket smock.
Oh, cool.
And I looked at that. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I thought, so I just sent a picture to the lad and said, right, I want that making with a little few changes.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. I hardly buy anything other than what I have myself now, because if I want a jacket that much, I just get a piece of paper, design it myself, and then there we go. And then there's a new jacket. It's great.
Yeah, you get a new jacket. There's a few 20 other odds to sell if you want, and there you go.
Yeah. I've got a new pair of trainers. Oh, I could just do with an orange jacket. Right, let's design one, send it off to him, and then 3 weeks later, it's here, done.
Yeah, that's brilliant. All right, mate. Well, it's been really good chatting to you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll put sort of links into everything about where people can check out the label, and certainly keep an eye out for that smock. And yeah, good luck with the label going forward.
Oh, great, and thanks for giving us a call.
Yeah, no worries. All right, cheers, Aaron.
Take care, man.
See you later on.
Bye bye.